The Wisdom of Paul Brunton. Spiritual Self-Reliance. Can I Find My Own Way? Quest Video Series 1, Video Number 4, presented by the Paul Brunton Philosophic Foundation. Most people live as prisoners of ideas which are not even their own, but which have been suggested to them by others. Independent thinking is rare. Just as there is not only a single radius from the center of a circle to its circumference, but countless ones, so there is not only a single path to God, but as many paths as there are people. You have to find the way most appropriate to you, to the meaning and experience of truth. The real self, the overself, dwells above time and space, matter and form, inviolable in its perfect liberty. If that be the goal and ideal state, you must sooner or later make a beginning to come into closer relationship to it, and to grow by the radiance of its light. Therefore, an aspirant does no wrong in standing aloof from the confinements of discipleship to one particular guide and the restrictions of membership in one organized group. Each human being differs in some respects, in mind as well as in body. Each is unique. Each needs to find his or her own individual path. For in each aspirant there exists a certain direction, tendency, capacity, attribute, or gift, along which line the possibility of spiritual development can open up more quickly, freely, and easily than along any other. So, take advantage of what nature has given you. But this requires exploration and search, not only by your ordinary faculties, but also and especially by your more sensitive and intuitive ones. Intuition is a state of pure intelligence, but without the working of the intellectual and ideational process. It offers, in a single emphatic flash, that which the intellect may arrive at only as the last result of many long-continued reflections and many different physical experiences. Time is needed because this hidden possibility does not exist at the surface level. We could bring about our own redemption if only we would allow ourselves to do so. But instead we hypnotize the mind with ideas that may suit other persons, but are unsuited to us. We practice techniques that warp our proper development. We follow leaders who know only the way they have themselves walked, and who insist on crowding all seekers on it, regardless of suitability. And we join groups which obstruct our special line of natural growth. To deny our individuality is to destroy our creative mind. In the end, that which brings together the seekers and the sought for truth, whether the latter be found within themselves, a book, or another person, is the direct agency of their own overself. Humanity will not be saved in groups or by organizations. It will be saved individual by individual. In the words of the dying Buddha, hold fast as a refuge to the truth. Look not for a refuge to anyone besides yourselves. Be ye lights unto yourselves is one acceptable translation, but be ye islands to yourselves is another. It is a message of self-reliance, of seeking within and not without for guidance and strength. A student has a question for Anthony Damiani, a prominent teacher of Paul Brunton's ideas.
I asked Anthony if there was some sort of formal initiation by someone who has mastered these techniques. And he said, no, the only one that could initiate you, now listen to this very carefully, is your soul. Nobody else could do that. He had known many people who received the so-called initiation from their own soul by their constant aspiration, prayer, meditation. Their soul has revealed itself to them.
It was Ramana Maharshi of Arunachala who said, "You yourself are your own guru. Be that." The awakening of inner forces ought not be attempted without an accompanying attempt to fortify character and guard against weakness. The danger of walking alone is also the danger of identifying your own private judgments, impulses, desires, and thoughts as intuitions from the higher self. Thus, before anyone can carry out an independent investigation of truth, they must first possess the capacity to do so. To develop this capacity where it is lacking, the philosophic discipline is prescribed. The pursuit of virtue and the practice of self-control, the acceptance of responsibility for one's inner life, these things are as necessary as grace and help to attract it. Out of these intense struggles with our thoughts and emotions, these repeated meditations and altruistic actions, these constant self-analyses and ardent yearnings, we will eventually get something which words can hardly describe. It will be a new sense of sacredness, an enlightened awareness of a deeper self, a blessed, loving serenity. In the end, we must come to ourselves, our diviner self, our essential being. And where shall we look for it if not there, where Jesus pointed? Within, not outside, not to some other human, however high his or her reputation as guru, not to some book, however sacrosanct its scriptural authority. Both the guru and book must, if loyal to the highest, also direct us inward. Paul Brunton, 1898 to 1981, a best-selling British author of a dozen books, spent much of his early life researching the original sacred teachings of Western and Eastern spiritual traditions. He traveled the world to discover and communicate with Christian, Kabbalistic, Vedantic, Buddhist, Taoist, indigenous, and Sufi masters. Blending the richness of his own spiritual experience and inquiry with these ancient and contemporary teachings, he developed a philosophy and path of practice that suits life in the 21st century, one that expresses the greatest wisdom and love available to humankind. Regardless of how it is named, we each have a divine soul, an overself or higher self, that is with us here and now, waiting to be realized. Paul Brunton's writings are a source of deep spiritual guidance for all those interested in living a divinely inspired life. Anthony Damiani, 1922 to 1984, was a prominent teacher of Paul Brunton's ideas and founder of the Wisdom's Goldenrod Center for Philosophic Studies. Inspired to penetrate into and understand the depths of traditional wisdom, he taught classes on the major philosophies as well as the teachings of Paul Brunton. His dedicated students compiled the 16 volumes of Paul Brunton's posthumous writings, titled The Notebooks of Paul Brunton, available from www.larsonpublications.com. Quotes selected for this video were taken from The Notebooks of Paul Brunton, Volume Number 2, The Quest. When completed, the Paul Brunton Quest Series 1 and 2 will contain the following topics. Please subscribe to the Paul Brunton Philosophic Foundation channel.